Hello, and welcome back to our video series on how to prepare your scientific CV. If you've missed the other videos in the series, you can find them from the links below, where we cover how to structure and organize your CV, how to write and fill in all the key parts, how to format your CV, and then finally today, in today's video, we're going to talk about a couple key, I call them pro tips, to keep in mind for after you already have a draft of your CV ready. For more videos like this in the future, please subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I am Casey Butler. This is Butler Scientific Communications, and let's talk about your CV. So now this is the video to come to when you already have a draft of your CV and you are thinking, now what? Especially if you think that your CV is not getting the attention that it should be getting, these are a couple things that you're going to want to definitely pay attention to really make sure that your CV stands out. So the first one here in this category, and the main one, especially for if you think your CV is not getting the attention it needs, is to get other eyes on your CV. Basically have as many other people as possible go through and read your CV and give you feedback. First, and one of the main easy reasons to do this is sometimes with something especially like a CV where you spend such a long amount of time staring at such a short document, you're going to start just missing things. You're going to start missing mistakes. You're going to start missing that you maybe deleted something from somewhere and didn't add it back in somewhere else and things like that. So you want somebody who's just going to be a second set of fresh eyes that's going to be able to look at this for you and help you spot mistakes. But then the other thing that you're going to want to do is get feedback from basically everybody. You want to know what your PI, for instance, thinks of your CV because he's going to have very different feedback for you than maybe other colleagues. But you also want their feedback on your CV because, again, it's going to be different from the PI and it might be something new or fresh or something that you didn't consider. But also consider going to people outside of your immediate working group, especially if the positions that you're going to be applying to are not something directly related to what you work on. Essentially, you want the feedback from different people with different perspectives because they're going to be able to tell you different things. Your PI is going to help you maybe add a bit or take a bit away and help you focus on the science and very professional aspects of the CV. People from other groups or other research labs or other fields are going to be able to tell you how understandable your CV is across different sets of research. And if you're applying to something completely out of research, you're definitely going to want to have people out of research looking at the CV to tell you if every point is understandable, if it's clear what you mean. And there's just sometimes things that we really forget about. Just like it's easy to let jargon slip by in your CV, but it's easy to forget that not everybody from the same background as you is going to think of the same things when they see the same words on a piece of paper. So you want to make sure that everything that you've written in the CV is having the connotations that you think that it is. It's recalling the right thoughts that you want it to be recalling in the brains of the people who are reading this. And so you want to get as many eyes on this as possible, just for things that are maybe worded funny, for things that maybe somebody reads it and they think about it a different way than what you intended, stuff like that. As many eyes on your CV as possible, it's never going to hurt. And if you're shy about doing this, I totally understand. This is something that I was really shy about, especially as a graduate student as well. And if I could go back and tell myself anything as a graduate student, it is to not be afraid to not be good at stuff. Because the only way to ever get better at stuff is to suck at it for a while. And so I wish I knew that when I was writing my first drafts of a lot of anything, and that includes my CV. Don't be afraid for it to suck for a little bit, because to make a draft, to make it good, you have to go through these drafts that aren't so good. And the only way to get to very good from not so good is to just get as much feedback in as much iterations as possible. So I know I've talked a lot now about getting feedback on your CV, but I think this is super important. So please try to go and send this to as many people as possible. I suggest a minimum of 3 different people. So not just the 3 people sitting next to you in the research lab, okay? So a minimum of 3 people from 3 different places. In the end, you want your PI and your lab mates and your friends or whoever are helping read your CV to spot any mistakes before the hiring managers do. It's going to be better for them to spot it than hiring managers. So here's where you really don't want to be afraid to send this around to other people. Next, another problem that I see with CVs that aren't quite getting the attention they deserve are these CVs that are not tailored to every application. And a lot of times people are somewhat tailoring their CVs to different applications, but they could go much deeper because you don't even have to keep the same bullet points or anything about each one of your different positions. Those can change with every single application that you submit. So what you want to do is go through your CV, every single part of it line by line, and make sure that it is tailored, that it is what you want to say about what you've done for this place that you are applying to. And you should absolutely do this for every single different application that you submit. Go through your CV line by line and make sure that that line is relevant for that position that you are applying to. This is the section where if you do have a CV that is read by a computer, I talked about this a little bit in the last video, this can be the make or break moment for you, and this can be what the problem is. A lot of, especially industry type positions that you'll be applying to, your CV is first read by a computer for key words in your application. And if you don't have those keywords, nobody else ever sees your application. So the computer might say a yes or no about your CV, and that's the end of it. So what I suggest you do here, and to make sure that your CV is tailored to wherever you are applying, is take the exact call, whether it's an advertisement for a job position, whether it's actually a call for funding that you're applying to, whether it's an advertisement for a postdoc, whatever it is, take the exact call, read through it, and highlight the key words in there. Highlight the exact specific terms, the exact specific words that they are using in this call, and then go through your CV and include that exact wording in any place that it is relevant. This is how you're going to make those keywords stand out for a computer, so that if a computer is reading your CV, it picks up those keywords, it hits on those keywords and flags it positively. But even if this is not being read by a computer, having the same words of what somebody is asking for in a call for an application is still going to be very helpful, because it helps hone their focus. It helps show them, oh, hey, this is exactly what I want to focus on. They have exactly this thing that I am looking for, and it is still going to make your application stand out. So when I say tailor every single CV, I don't mean just go through and put teaching above research if you're applying to a teaching-based position, and then flip it back if you're applying to a research-based position, which some people do. I mean literally go through your CV line by line. So you can go through this exercise here of highlighting the call and making sure all those points are included in your CV. You can also make sure you do other stuff like read through every single bullet point, make sure it is applicable to the place you're applying. This is especially true if you keep a section at the top of the summary of relevant skills. That summary of relevant skills should change dramatically for every place that you're applying to, because you're going to want to highlight different skills for every single job, every single position, every single funding application. So go through these points, tailor them to the application, and do it in a very robust, very in-depth, and very specific way. Don't make this surface changes. Make this a very specific change to tailor your CV. Make it exactly suited to the position that you are applying to. And it's going to greatly increase the chances of your CV standing out to either the computer or the hiring manager. And then my one final tip for you here when you are going through all of this CV work is one of the best gifts I have ever given to myself, so I'm passing it on to you, and that is keeping a master CV. So what I mean by master CV is I have one very gigantic Word document that has everything I could possibly ever include on a CV. So anytime I do something new, I get a new position, I get an award, I publish a paper, anything like that, I go into my master CV and I add it into my master CV. And that is the only place where I ever add stuff to, really, okay? One master CV, everything is on there. This thing is very long by this point. Now, though, what I do, anything that I want to apply to, anything, any application, any position, whatever, I start with a blank document, and then I open my master CV, and I only copy the relevant points from my master CV into the blank document that is going to be for the application that I am applying to. So by having this master CV, this helps make sure that everything you have is in one place. If you are going through all of this time and all of this effort, because putting a CV together is a ton of effort, having a master CV is going to be one of the best gifts that you ever give yourself, because you're only going to have to do this one time. Now, also when we talked about filling in some of that key information, I talked about how you might have multiple different bullet points worded in different ways, but say sort of the same thing. In your master CV, you can keep all of that. Even though in any CV that you submit for a job, you might only have maybe 3 bullet points under each research position, your master CV might have 12. And that's because you're highlighting different things that you did. You didn't just do 3 things. You didn't just do 3 bullet points worth of things. And based on where you're applying, you might want to highlight different parts or different aspects of your experience from each one of those different things. If you keep them all in the master CV, then you're not going to have to rethink of these every time, or you're not going to have to scramble around opening different files, being like, I know I worded this differently somewhere else. So make yourself this master CV, put everything in your master CV. All updates for anything new that happens are always made to your master CV. And then anytime you're applying to a job, you always copy from the master CV into a new CV. I tell you this stuff about the master CV because I would tell you I want to make your life easier, which is true. I do want to make your life easier. Also, though, as a little pro trick, I guess, I like to say this because this also helps make sure that every single CV you submit is very specifically tailored to the job you're applying to. So this really helps you with the previous point we just talked about as well. Because if you have to copy in information for every single new position you're applying to, you really have to think deeply about that position and about what information is relevant. So do yourself a favor in more ways than one and keep a big master CV. Okay, so this is actually going to conclude our video series on writing a scientific CV that stands out. If you want to check out the other videos from the series, you can start with the previous one that is going to be right here for you. Otherwise, I have the links to all of them below in this video. So otherwise, I hope that this helps you get a CV that you are excited about, that you are proud of, and that you think is going to stand out. Otherwise, happy CV preparation and happy writing.